Pointillism and Stippling. What is pointillism? It is a technique in which small dots of color are applied in patterns to form an image. The dots are only made using the primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. When they are next to each other and overlapping, from a distance it will look like the primary colors, so red, yellow, and blue, blend together to make the secondary colors, orange, green, and purple. George Seurat and Paul Senick developed the technique in 1886. They were two artists that worked together artistically. This was one of Seurat's most famous pieces. He was a French post-impressionist artist. He was best known for creating the painting technique known as Pointillism. This artwork is 7 feet and 10 inches by 10 feet and 1 inch. It was entirely painted using this method of painting with dots. He used oil paints for this painting. This technique creates texture that other painting techniques do not. In this close-up, you can see all of those dots that are overlapping. So notice that there are only red and blue dots being mixed together here, but it starts to look like a dark purple. This is one of Paul's most popular pieces. He was a French neo-impressionist painter. He was best known for creating pointillism and for his other paintings that he utilized other techniques to create. He created this entire painting using only small dots. He used oil paints for this artwork as well. This painting also has a unique texture, an element of art that is used to describe how something feels or how we think it would feel because of how it looks. So for example, if something is painted to look fuzzy, then we might think it looks fuzzy and that's the texture it would have, but if we were to actually touch it, it wouldn't feel that way at all. Yayoi Kusama. This is a Japanese contemporary artist who works primarily with sculpture and installation pieces. Her work is somewhat inspired by pointillism. It technically is not pointillism because the process is not using that technique or only primary colors. But her work is entirely made up of dots, as you can see. Just using dots does not mean that it is pointillism. Pointillism is specific to using the primary colors and only creating those small marks. So a large circle like this would not be considered to be part of pointillism. Here are some modern examples of pointillism. So you can see there are some that were created by students where they are layering those primary colors, and it is creating this illusion that some of the secondary colors are there when they're really not. They did not use green right here. They did not use purple right here. It's just that the red and the blue are overlapping, and over here, the yellow and the blue are overlapping, and you can see that better in this color wheel. What is stippling? Stippling is a technique that is used in drawing, painting, or engraving where numerous small dots or specks are made to create an image. The dots can be any color, not just the primary colors. Areas with more dots will have higher value than areas with less dots. Miguel Endara. He is an American artist from Florida. He uses millions of dots from a black micron pen to create his artworks. He puts more dots in areas that he will want to have more value, so be shaded more. For example, right here, he didn't just color any of this in. He took that pen and he only created dots to make these areas darker. But in the areas that are lighter, he wants to spread out those dots so that they show up the way that they should. This needs to be a highlight, so it has to have fewer dots than right here. He creates portraits, drawings of inanimate objects, and more. Here are some more examples of how people use stippling in their artwork. So all of these images only were created using dots. Right here is one that is done in color. Notice they did not stick to just using yellow, blue, and red, because that is only needed for pointillism. Stippling, you can use any color that you want. For your project, brainstorm your subject matter. What do you want to depict in your artwork? Do a practice sketch for your subject matter and decide how much value each section should have. Which areas are heavily or lightly shaded? Very lightly sketch the outlines of your design onto a new sheet of unlined paper. On your practice sheet, draw a line down the middle. On one side, practice shading using pointillism, so only use primary colors and overlap them where you want the colors to blend together to create those secondary colors, which are orange, purple, and green. On the other side, practice shading by stippling, so any colors that you want, or black. You will use markers for both. Decide which of the two techniques you would like to use for your final project. Once you have decided which of the two you would like to use, very lightly, like barely able to see it at all, sketch the outlines of your design onto a new sheet of paper that is unlined. Begin adding dots to your artwork. If you are stippling, you can use any color or colors or black. If you are doing pointillism, you can only use the primary colors and overlap them where you want them to blend together. Add more dots where it needs to be darker and less in the light areas. When you feel it has reached a point where it is as good as you think you can possibly get it, go ahead and take a photograph of it using our photography guidelines and upload it to Canvas.